extracurricular. But everybody has access to this, all your middle schools. And with a resource like this, we update this every single day. So in terms of what kind of content is going into this, historically Gale is a reference publisher, so we have book content. And that's really going to provide sort of the background information on that given topic that the students or teachers are working in. But we also license content, so every single day you have newspapers go in here. Every single week you have magazines go in here. So these resources are literally constantly growing arithmetically. Like every single day, the entire New York Times goes into this product, the entire Washington Post, the entire USA Today. Every week, Newsweek, National Review, Smithsonian, American Heritage. So all of that content just accumulates inside these resources. But we have algorithms and indexing systems, so if the kid's just sitting down saying, looking up immigration policy, got something on the Great Depression, it'll organize all those content assets for them. So it's fairly easy to navigate. So you'll have a banner up top that will always be rolling. And then down below here, I can go into any of these other categories, whether it's science, history, geography, government. We'll change the banner up top here based upon things happening in the world or certain anniversaries of things that take place. So if I want to drill down on the topic for the Vietnam War, this would be a topic page for that conflict, and again, everybody has access. And then on this menu here, it just kind of gives you a sense of what we're pulling together. So I've got over 120 book entries, over 100 primary sources, over 100 podcasts, over 500 magazine entries, over 600 news articles. And again, that's going to constantly grow out there. So what any students or teachers can do is then go down into all those content. It's all organized in these buckets. And if I want to say, look at some of the book content, I can then also use filters to search for more basic or intermediate or advanced content. You can do Lexile level searching as well. So if I'm a teacher looking for something, so if I go into an entry here on the war, it'll take us into the full text and images from that book entry. And again, up top you can see the Google integration. So if I'm using Google Classroom, I can put this entry into my Google Classroom feed. I can create an assignment around it. If I'm just using Google Drive, because students and teachers can use that, what's cool about that is if I sign in with Google, I'm connected to my Google account, and then right here I can just push this entire entry into my Google Drive account. So what that does is it takes the entire text, all the images, and the citation, and it drops it into my Drive account as a Google Doc. So what's cool about that for teachers or students is I'm now in a word processing environment. So if I wanted to go in there and edit that item and kind of repurpose it, so teachers might go in and find something that's a fairly lengthy item, but if they just want to cut it up and just take this one section or this one paragraph, Google Drive is a great place to do that. So it's going to have the entire entry that we just pulled out of the Gale product, so it's no longer in the Gale product, it's here in my Google Drive account. But again, this is a word processing environment, so if I want to remove things or add questions, I can really kind of repurpose the content as I see fit. And what's nice about that, at the end, of course, you're going to have your source information given there, so they can kind of go back to the original document and see where it came from. And again, here, if I wanted to just do a keyword search of the entire item, so if I type in something like the Fort Laramie Treaty, then it's just going to go through and pull up whatever entries it could find for biographies or primary sources. And again, what I can do with this is I can move that to my Google Drive folder. You have the ability to highlight and take notes in the content. So if I drag over a section of text, and then I can also move that over here. They can download content for offline reading. You also have translation capability, so if I want to translate any of the content. And what's nice about that is this is basically all stuff that's built into the platform. And then you also have text-to-speech capability, this utility read speaker, and you could download that to an MP3 file. And When I say everybody has access, I might be a social studies teacher talking on American Native Indian affairs. But if my students also work with an EL teacher later in the day somewhere else, they have access to this. If they work with a resource room teacher and it's an audio learner that wants to have a playback of the audio of that entry or that section of it, all those people could utilize that at the same time in the same way. So again, kind of back at the front end, and a lot of our in-context resources are designed in this fashion. So if I expand on an area like government, then I'll have all of these general topics come up. So if I choose something like the executive branch, and then once again, it's going to take me to a page where all that content that's both been accumulated but that continues to come into the system is going to be organized for me. I also kind of want to share, so again, all of these resources are already here. So that stuff is all resident, so you guys have access to it. We are developing some new things on top of those resources. Now, this is not going to be something that comes through Wild. So the content you have that's here, that's there, somebody's paying for it, it's there for everybody in Wyoming to use. What we're starting to create, we're going to have this out in August, September of this year. It's basically creating a teacher layer on top of all those content assets. So we're kind of calling it in context for educators. So this would be something, because you're literally sitting on the content beneath it, if a district wanted to deploy this with us, and we can kind of talk over summer and kind of provide more details once it releases in August, it would be something that you could have that would then touch down on all of those resources. And the idea here is to give the teacher sort of like a portal where they can curate all of that content, they can create lessons, they can insert instructions inside of document pieces and content elements. So the idea is to kind of create a more pedagogical tool where teachers could basically have access to all those things are underneath it. So in a lot of districts that are buying that content on their own already, they would then consider adding this. The nice thing about Wyoming is that, again, all 48 districts literally already have all of our in-context products. So if it's something, when this comes out, and to me, you know, the two states that we probably work with the most products are going to be Wyoming and Massachusetts. We have statewide services in Texas, Florida, New York, Tennessee, Virginia, a whole bunch of other places, but you guys literally have, you know, the whole shooting match. So to me, since this one layer will then be pervasive and touch all those content pieces, if a district acquires it, all teachers would have access. So whether it's a middle school science teacher, a high school world history teacher, someone teaching civics, someone at the elementary level. And the idea behind this is, again, to give the teachers like their own login credentials, where it's going to allow them to do things like search all the curriculum standards. They'll all be built in, and then based upon the standard thread that they pick, it's going to identify some content assets amongst all those resources, and then put those together for them. So the teachers can kind of create a lesson right out of it. They'll also have lesson plans and assignment ideas within here. And then within the content, and again, these are kind of screens, sort of mock-ups from our production team. But you have the ability to insert instructor notes, writing prompts, critical thinking questions. So again,